Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. This is Brandon from Free State, Colorado, and I hope you're doing well. You got to see this if you haven't already. I'm going to play the full clip of this heated exchange between Colorado US Senator Michael Bennet and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I got to tell you, I almost feel bad for Michael Bennet because he had this whole elaborate political stunt planned where he's going to challenge RFK. He's going to get some talking points. He's going to get his name in the media and use it for his governor's campaign, and it totally backfired on him. RFK Jr. shut down Michael Bennet. He shut him up. Michael Bennet, it was embarrassing in this performance, as you'll see, and I'm actually going to play the whole clip. Oftentimes on social media or the news, of course, you see 30 seconds. I'm going to play all the whole exchange that they had so you can judge for yourself. But I really wanted to provide some background here for you. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., kind of a skeptic of the big pharmaceutical companies, as most Americans are. I think that explains some of his popularity. Of course, some of that is also vaccine skepticism, which there's a lot to be said about that, especially in this post-COVID world. But just doing a quick Google search of Michael Bennet kind of tells you a lot of the story here as to why he might be trying to challenge RFK Jr. on either big pharma issues or the vaccine issue. So this is an article here, of course, everything linked at freestatecolorado.com from 2019 when Michael Bennett's ill-fated presidential campaign, which I'll get to in a minute here, but health industry lawyers and lobbyists seem to really like Michael Bennet. Wow. Well, that kind of explains something right there, folks. I mean, all the articles, like I said, are going to be posted. You can definitely check them out, read this all to yourself. But it's pretty interesting to see how Michael Bennet is being funded or has been funded by these insurance and pharmaceutical companies. So check this out here. Over the course of his 10-year Senate tenure, gosh, he's been there that long, Bennett's campaigns have received nearly $1 million from corporate PACs in the health sector. During the 2016 election cycle, the most recent Senate election for Bennett, at the time, his campaign received $154,000 from pharmaceuticals and health product PACs, including $10,000 from Gilead Sciences PAC, $9,000 from Celgene's PAC, and $8,000 each from the PACs of AbbVie, Genentech, and Sanofi US. So there you go. He's getting a lot of money. You can go in and really dig in through here to see all these other people who are connected to these big drug makers, big pharmaceutical companies have really helped fund Michael Bennett's U.S. Senate career. That tells you a lot of the background right here, folks. So he's playing some games, and unfortunately, he's kind of getting exposed, and I don't think he's going to like this. Here's an article from CPR. Colorado Public Radio, their KRCC, back from 2019 as well. Many Mountain West lawmakers still pulling in donations from drug companies. So, I mean, there you go, folks. This is definitely a very left-leaning news source here. So this is pre Donald Trump 2024 election. So you can really see kind of some of this here. Democratic Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado even refunded $5,000 in pharmaceutical company donations this year. Wow, look at him. However, he got more than $500,000 total from those companies since 2007, more than most lawmakers in the region. So, the entire Western United States, Michael Bennett's getting more money from pharmaceutical companies than pretty much anybody else out there. I mean, that definitely raises some questions here. Check out this article from kffhealthnews.org, where they really track a lot of this big pharma money going into Congress. So check this out here. Here's Michael Bennet. Bennet received almost $200,000 from the industry for his 2016 election, but lately hasn't seen much support. Let's click in there to Bennet. You can kind of see some of the details here. So there he is, total since 2007, $513,000. And they break it down. I mean, you got Merrick, all these other ones that I don't even necessarily know how to pronounce. Bristol Myers Squibb, obviously a big one. Eli Lilly, Johnson and Johnson. Some of these big companies giving him some big money. So he's on this list with some of these other senators and congressional representatives from across the country, getting more money than pretty much everybody else. Pretty interesting stuff there for sure. Here's from Aspen Daily News back from 2017, and I'm just giving you this background because it's important here. Check this out. Colorado's own senator voted against the bill, proving once again that he is beholden to moneyed interests and not fighting for his constituency. Records show that Bennett has accepted nearly $500,000 in campaign finance contributions from pharmaceutical companies. So, he's getting it from people up in Aspen, even, folks. I mean, these are people who are not necessarily on the right side of the spectrum. Now, I got to go into this because I thought this was hilarious, and I think this explains why Bennett is making such a huge blunder in going after RFK. So, here's a poll from the 2024 elections, right? Now, you may remember RFK Jr. was on the ballot in Colorado as an unaffiliated candidate. For a short time, he was going to be the Libertarian Party candidate. because there's so much interest and so much to like about RFK, so much to respect across the political spectrum. I mean, right and left, somebody who's challenging some of these big moneyed interests like the big pharmaceutical companies. So nationwide, this is nationwide polling. Kennedy was polling around 8.7%. He even went up to about 10%, even up at 16% at one point, very early on in the election when he pretty much first announced back there. So you got to see nationwide, RFK, popular guy, Kennedy family, of course, huge leg up there. But nonetheless, even getting towards the very end of the 2024 election cycle, still polling 8-9% nationally. Wow, not that he got that many votes, but nonetheless, the polls show there's interest. There's polls show there's respect for this gentleman, right? Now, you got to contrast that to 4 years earlier when Michael Bennet ran for president. You may have forgotten. Michael Bennet probably wishes he forgot that he ran for president back in 2020. Nobody really knew who he was. This CPR article is actually hilarious. Low polls, no debates, no problem. Michael Bennet is still running for president. Wow. Like I said, you almost feel sorry for the guy. Believe me, I don't, but you almost do. Pretty interesting stuff, but they do list in here. It's kind of funny how the polling here to say that he is basically polling so low that it's almost insignificant. Look at this. Manley, who spent several years working in the Senate, knows Bennett well enough to know he wouldn't be running if he didn't believe he has something to offer the nation. But the polls show that Bennett's candidacy isn't gaining steam. It's stuck between 0 and 1%. So less than 1% polling for Michael Bennet in the presidential race. And then you got somebody like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. getting 8%, 10%. I mean, the popularity there is something different. I mean, even so much so that you have Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, who I am no fan of, as you know, and I'm sure you aren't either, but nonetheless excited that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was appointed by President Trump to be part of this Health and Human Services, to be the head of it. And Polis goes on and on and on, talking about how much he loves RFK Jr. This got 9.5 million views. There was a lot of controversy on the left from this. Of course, a lot of people in the Democrats weren't happy, and of course, a lot of people on the right weren't happy about it either because they don't like Jared Polis. But nonetheless, how funny is this? Even Jared Polis has massive respect for RF Kennedy, and you got somebody like Michael Bennet trying to make a name for himself, trying to really sound like a big tough guy, and gets his little soundbite. So let's go ahead and listen. Let's play this whole clip from this recent September 4th congressional senatorial hearing with Health and Human Services. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. getting questions. So let's check it out here, and we'll follow up with some more information afterwards.
Physician associations are conflicted because of the money they get from the pharmaceutical industry. Are you committed to trying to make sure that we use the best science and separate and eliminate politics as much as possible?
That is what my job is. That's what my mission is. Eliminate the politics from science.
Senator Bennet. Mr. Secretary, in June, you fired every member. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Secretary, may I have my time back, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your attention. In June, you fired every member of the well-qualified panel that was charged with recommending vaccines to the CDC. No one in your job has ever fired every committee member all at once. That month, you told the American people that you were, quote, going to bring great people onto the ACIP panel, not anti-vaxxers. Are you aware that one of the people you put on the panel, Dr. Robert Malone, claimed that the commonly used mRNA vaccine, quote, causes a form of AIDS and can damage children's, quote, brains, their heart, their immune system, and their ability to have children in the future? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
And Dr. Malone is one of the inventors.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Were you aware that he had that view when you appointed him to this panel?
Dr. Malone is one of the inventors. As I said, Dr. Malone is one of the inventors of the mRNA vaccine, so he knows a lot more about it than I do.
Mr. Chairman, that statement is not true that Dr. Malone made, just as it wasn't true when you wrote that, quote, African AIDS is entirely different from Western AIDS. Are you aware that another one of these new members, Dr. Levy, wrote that, quote, evidence is mounting and indisputable that mRNA vaccines cause serious harm, including death, especially among young people? Yes or no? Are you aware that he said that?
I wasn't aware he said it, but I think I agree with it.
You agree with it. It's not true. It wasn't true when he said it, and it's not true when you said it. Secretary Kennedy, later this month, your new panel will meet to consider changing vaccine recommendations for American children. In addition to the COVID-19 vaccines, they are set to review recommendations for the hepatitis B vaccine, for measles, for mumps, for rubella and varicella vaccine, and the RSV vaccine. These are common back-to-school vaccinations for children all over the industrialized world. If you change that, you owe parents in Colorado and across the country the benefit of some transparency, I think. If your panel recommends changing the vaccine schedule for children, do you anticipate that fewer children will receive these common vaccinations, yes or no?
What I would say, Senator,
the obvious answer is yes. Should parents and schools of Colorado be prepared for more measles outbreaks as a result of that, Mr. Secretary?
Senator,
how about more mumps outbreaks?
I do not anticipate a change in the MMR vaccine. ACIP is an independent panel. So
well, it's a panel you just put those folks on. Far from what you said, they're people with ideas that are completely outside the mainstream.
You mean out of the pharmaceutical paradigm?
Let me just say, Mr. Secretary, all these vaccines that we're talking about today are free and accessible to parents today in America who have the freedom to be able to make that choice for their children. Will that be true after your handpicked panel makes their judgments about these vaccines?
I think that parents should be free to...
I know you said that before. I do too.
To make their own choices.
So will they be just as free after these?
I assume they will be.
I will hold you to that, Secretary Kennedy, because this is not a podcast. It is the American people's health that's on the line here. This is the last thing, by the way, our parents need when their kids are going back to school, is to have the kind of confusion and expense and scarcity that you're creating as a result of your ideology. I think it's critical for you to share the evidence that this panel will rely on. Will you give the American people 6 months or 6 weeks in advance the record that they're going to rely on to make these decisions? Will you make it transparent for the American people?
All the evidence is transparent.
Will you make it in advance transparent for the American people so they can comment on it?
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and then running their products through with no safety testing.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You described people moving the Titanic.
Senator, are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire.
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions here,
You're
Mr.
evading
Kennedy.
that question.
I'm asking the questions,
I
Mr.
asked
Kennedy.
you a question.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time in the history of that agency.
Senator Cassidy. Thank you. I'll try and restore a little calm here.
So Michael Bennet, whose entire career has been backed by big pharma companies, comes out swinging, going after RFK, going after the vaccine issue, trying to pretend to stand up for freedom, for parents, for families. And it's just so silly because he's asking him questions that he doesn't want to hear the answers to. It's purely a game. It's a political posturing. He's trying to get that soundbite so that the Colorado Democratic Party can post it on social media so he can use it for his governor's campaign, so he can do all of that, where you have RFK Jr., who doesn't have the notes that Michael Bennet has. has. Michael Bennet should be thankful he's got all those notes written down because he probably couldn't remember any of this stuff. But RFK Jr. is able to tell him that, hey, for the first time in history, we're going to be telling families the truth. We're going to be telling parents the truth about some of these big pharma drugs. We're going to tell them what's going on. We're going to make it transparent. And we're actually going to do something that's never been done before. In all the years, the 12 years, I think he said, that you've been in there, Michael Bennet, you have done nothing to actually hold any of these people accountable, to stand up, and you let all these people get hurt with no oversight whatsoever. So fascinating stuff. I think Bennett had a blunder, honestly, going after somebody like RFK Jr., who's challenging the status quo, who's challenging the power structures. I mean, that's what so many people on the left and the right are looking for, is somebody willing to ask those hard questions and give the truth to the people. I mean, look at the biggest news stories out there these days, whether you're talking about Epstein, whether you're talking about anything that the government has done with terms of spying on us, wars, all these things that the government is doing behind closed doors, the public deserves to know. And you have somebody like RFK Jr. who's getting up there and saying, the public's going to know. And for Bennett to be on the wrong side of that and to be celebrated and think that he's doing the right thing by standing up for big pharmaceutical companies, totally out of touch. I mean, this guy has no clue what's going on. And I would recommend, if you want to dig into Bennett's background, just go to freestatecolorado.com, type in Bennett. He's only got one T on his name, common mistake you'll see. But I did a series of posts about this guy's record. I mean, it's really interesting because most people have no clue who this guy is, how he's part of this East Coast establishment. He has no roots to Colorado, nothing tying him to Colorado whatsoever. His lifestyle, his entire history is so opposite of the average Coloradan. It's impossible to think that he could possibly represent us. And then also at freestatecolorado.com, where this video will be, I'll post these links here to opensecrets.org, where you can see some of the big donors. Look it up yourself. See who gave money to Michael Bennet, including, of course, AIPAC, the number one top contributor to his campaign committee, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, giving him $116,000. And this is just for this 5-year period of 19 through 24. Not sure what it is for his entire career. And then you got Blackstone Group, people who work at University of Colorado, the state of Colorado. Google, I mean, J Street PAC, some of these big organizations out there, BlackRock's given Michael Bennet tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, this guy's as establishment as it gets, folks. And when you have somebody like RFK coming along challenging the establishment, people like Bennet don't like it, and they think they're scoring political points. But come on, for a guy who pulled less than 1% in the presidential election, going out against somebody who's pulling 10%, I mean, it's a bad move politically, and I think it's going to come back to bite him. But really appreciate you tuning in. Again, this is Brandon at Free State, Colorado. We'll see you soon. Have a great night, and we'll be free one day, folks.